Hoppers is out on Disney Plus, latest film from Pixar. This was directed by Daniel Chong. Voice cast includes Piper Kurta, Bobby Moynihan, John Hamm, Kathy Najimy, Dave Franco, and Meryl Streep. The story follows Mabel, a 19-year-old university student passionate about nature and wildlife. In the hopes of saving a forest glade from being built over with a highway, she ends up using a prototype machine that transfers her consciousness into a realistic robot beaver, whereupon she has to convince the other real animals to join the fight. So it sounds like a crazy premise, but trust me, the movie gets much weirder than you'd expect at certain points. And anyway, I found it to be a decent movie, had a nice enough time, but probably not going to join the pantheon of Pixar's must-watch movies. The animation quality is great as always with this studio, and I especially loved how the film gives us enough time with both human Mabel and beaver Mabel, both of which designs are pretty good. The production team also apparently spent a lot of time on research into beaver behavior to animate their movements and quirks correctly. The animals in this film are in general fairly animalistic, so to speak. They're not just furry humans, they're animals that just can't talk. However, I do miss the days when Pixar would use a movie as an excuse to push the animation technology into a new direction and make a breakthrough in some department, like how Monsters Inc. was a leap forward in animating fur and Finding Nemo in animating water. Hoppers doesn't have the feel of a technological breakthrough in any way, which, it doesn't have to, but it would be cool if it did. Story-wise, I liked the nature versus industry theme. I like how the mayor is shown to not be a completely despicable, irredeemable person. But on the other hand, with how they establish he was illegally using the noise-generating speakers to scare off the wildlife, I think the redemption at the end comes perhaps too easy, and in general, it feels like the film chickens out of resolving the conflict between just Mabel and the mayor, and has to introduce a totally new cartoonish villain midway through. It seems like the filmmakers realize, well, if we continue with these themes, we might end up actually endorsing or justifying some form of eco-terrorism. So instead, they relied on having someone even worse for Mabel and the mayor to defeat together. Again, bit of a shame, and I ended up thinking back to Princess Mononoke, which also has an industrialist antagonist, yet in that case, the conflict is executed in a much more mature way. But well, Hoppers is more of a child movie, so yeah. I like the humor. I liked especially the visual gag of the animal eyes being either Pixar cartoon eyes when we're in the perspective of an animal who understands them, and then they turn back to just these little black beads when it's a human who does not understand animal speech. Voice cast is good, no notes there. I do think the movie goes a bit too far off the rails somewhere around Act 2, but at the end of the day, I was still entertained. Fine little movie, not groundbreaking in any way, but perfectly enjoyable nonetheless.